The Swahili language calls Dimiga from the verb meaning dig, cultivate.
A Massachusetts man thought his chronic coughing and malaise were signs that he had lung cancer. Then one day they found the culprit, a pea plant growing in his lung.
The peak of both North American natural gas production
and global oil production will precipitate an agricultural crisis much sooner than expected.
Charcoal is a black residue consisting of impure carbon obtained by removing water and other volatile constituents from animal and vegetation substances.
Clean your ears. You could grow potatoes in them.
The sea beet prospered along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea.
4 charred beetroots were found in a Neolithic site.
The Neolithic began with the rise of farming.
I wondered about the queen. She was there in the middle, like some centripetal force drawing everything to her.
Agriculture, the production of food and goods through farming, was the key development that led to the rise of human civilization.
About 1,500 bees buzzed Cipriani's posh Wall Street restaurant this week, blanketing its front door and forcing police to cordon off the block. It was the 3rd time in a year that a swarm swept through Manhattan.
Russia's prime minister banned all exports of grain after millions of acres of its wheat withered in a severe drought, saying it was necessary to curb rising food prices. Russia is suffering from the worst heat wave since record-keeping there began about 130 years ago.
Today, more than 90% of soybeans and more than 80% of the corn grown in this country are genetically engineered. As new biotech traits keep being added, many seed varieties now include multiple genes to battle insect pests, raising their value.
Since 1945, world grain production increased by 250%, but much of this grain is non-sustainable and is more susceptible to disease because of genetic similarity.
The problem of famine occurs from agricultural problems of drought, crop failure, or pestilence.
Russia, blessed with the greatest reserve of fertile but fallow land in the world, is thought by many experts to have the greatest potential of any country to meet mounting demand for food from a growing global population.
Charcoal, used for drawing, is created by burning sticks of wood.
The chemical composition of the cruciferous vegetables is complex, making it difficult to isolate which compound or group of compounds provides benefit.
Companies say higher prices for seeds are justified because their genetically engineered traits save farmers money by making their operations more efficient.
The diets of the red colobus monkeys contain high levels of cyanide. They learned to consume charcoal, which absorbs the cyanide and relieves indigestion.
Broccoli evolved from a wild cabbage plant on the continent of Europe about 2,000 years ago.
Monocropping grows the same crop year after year on the same land. Although it seems economically efficient, its dependence on pesticides and artificial fertilizers leads to soil depletion and deforestation.
It got to where you could plow 100 acres and you wouldn't find one earthworm. As I learned about nutrition, there just wasn't no stopping. You're dealing with life.
Between autumn equinox and the winter solstice, the Bronze Age Celts held a festival for them devoted to the remembrance of the dead.
When crops are not rotated, soil is not replenished. Deprived of essential nutrients, the soil becomes eroded. Then the need for more land becomes an issue, leading to the destruction of more terrain.
Efforts to convince farmers to give up growing poppy plants have yielded few results, as this crop represents one of the few profitable enterprises in a country whose economy remains in shambles.
Pre-Columbian natives used biochar charcoal in the Amazon to turn unproductive soil into rich soil.
Areas of woodland were cut and regrew cyclically, but scarcity of early harvested wood was a major factor for the switch to the fossil fuel equivalents.
Bees are increasingly at risk globally, and scientists continue to ponder why. American hives decreased by 33.8% in 1 year. The report cited poor weather conditions, starvation, and weak colonies as the main factors.
Our shells clacked on the plates. My tongue was a filling estuary, my palate hung with starlight. As I tasted the salty Pleiades, Orion dipped his foot into the water.
We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields.
Poppies are attractive and cultivated as ornamental garden plants. They are also a common weed found in European locales, including Flanders fields.
Poppies are grown for both drugs and food. Poppy seed is used in cooking and baking. Opiates are obtained from it, and poppy seed oil is used in cooking and as an artist's painting medium.
War is associated with famine, particularly when warfare attacks those who till the soil or attacks the land itself by burning or salting fields that were used for farming.
Monsanto's aggressive legal tactics have put many farmers out of business, as Monsanto controls and owns the seed of the earth. Organic farmer plaintiffs worry that genetically modified seeds will contaminate their own crops.
Monsanto budgeted $10 million each year to investigate and sue farmers who aren't paying it patent royalties.
The famine in 1845 began as food was being shipped to England, as they were the only ones who could afford to pay higher prices.
It is a constant fight every day, Euclid said, speaking of the demands of farming methods. But out here with this, at sunrise, you have these feelings that you cannot buy.
After the U.S. invasion, oil exports became legal, and thousands of people involved in smuggling rings suddenly found themselves out of work.
Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high.
The Opium Wars took place in the late 1830s when the Chinese attempted to stop the sale of opium.
They proposed that Afghanistan could produce medicinal opium under a scheme similar to that operating in Turkey and India to promote economic growth.
The government has given the go-ahead to a pharmaceutical company to cultivate opium poppies in England for medicinal reasons. This move is well received by British farmers.
Among all the troubles that have been visited on Russia in this summer of record heat, wildfires, smoke, and crop failure, none have been so persistent and impervious to remedy as the peat fires. Particularly maddening is that the knowledge that the problem is caused by humans.
If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
The Pleiades were nymphs in the train of Artemis and were nursemaids and teachers to the infant Bacchus.
Around 2003, the U.S. required Iraq's farmers to plant only certified seeds from specific seed companies. Just as the farmers in the United States were forced to destroy their own seed banks by Monsanto, Iraq's seed banks were also destroyed.
As early as 1918, Soviet engineers drained swamps to supply peat for electrical power stations. That approach was abandoned in the late 1950s after natural gas was discovered in Siberia. But the bogs were never reflooded, although the authorities are currently weighing the idea.
The direct method of making charcoal is ages old and is used by colliers to make charcoal in a pit or kiln.
Consumption of cabbage family members that include arugula, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, Swiss chard, collards, kale, kohlrabi, mustard greens, radishes, rutabaga, turnips, turnip greens, and watercress have been associated with decreased risk for cancer.
He said Monsanto's treatment of the earth seeds is solely for profit motives and to control the world's food system.
The Aztecs' name for them means marketplace.
The Board of Health voted to lift a ban on beekeeping, legalizing hundreds of existing hives that were part of an underground honeybee world. The activity previously carried fines of up to $2,000. They now consider responsible urban beekeeping a sustainable agriculture that does not pose a public health issue.
And the animals are happy, and the plants are
And
happy.
the animals are happy, and the plants are
And the animals are happy, and the plants are happy.
And the animals are happy, and the plants are happy.
And the animals are happy.
A doctor said if conditions are right, and they are right in the lung because it is moist and warm, you can inhale a seed of a plant or a sprouting plant, and the seed will germinate.
A Blackfoot legend says they are orphans that were not cared for by the people, so they became stars. Sunman, angered by their mistreatment of his children, punished the people with a drought until the dogs, the only friends of the orphans, intercede on behalf of the people.
Lieutenant Colonel John Alexander McCrae, Canadian author, artist, poet, physician, surgeon, and soldier who died during World War I, is best known for writing the famous war memorial poem, In Flanders Fields.